Hi guys, you're welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Samuel and I'm making this video on Fulless Generator. Yes, Fulless Generator has been around for quite some time. It's been trending for a few years and we've seen loads of videos on the YouTube trying to tell us how wonderful this generator could be. I'm interested in this because I want to find out if it is a reality or a myth. If it is possible to make this generator, then there's every possibility that it will save you loads of money. Because if a generator does not use any fuel, then you are going to save, huge amount of money. For me to be able to keep my house warm for just 8 hours a day, it will cost me about £300 a month. So if there's any way I could actually save all that money, I guess it won't make me cry, will it? So let us look at what a fuelless generator is all about. A fuelless generator is a generator that does not use any fuel whatsoever. It does not use petrol, it does not use gasoline or diesel. It is a self-running generator. This is one of the two major components that I'll be using to build this fuelless generator. The one you're looking at here is the motor. The motor is responsible for winding the alternator. This particular motor has the power output of 750 watts. 750 watts, which is equivalent to 1 horsepower. So how it works is that, you see, we've fixed this with this pulley. This one is called the pulley. We connect this one with the alternator in order to make the alternator roll, or to make it rotate. So once the alternator starts rotating, then your electricity will be produced. One more thing I need to tell you about this motor: it's an AC motor, which means it's alternating current motor, which means it can only be powered by your household electricity, and the speed is 3000 rpm. 3000 rpm, which means it can rotate 3000 times within a minute. 3000 rpm, which the rpm stand for revolutions per minute. So that's how it works. You can see that I've already wired this with a three pins plug. This 3 pins plug is what we use here in the UK. In other places, your plugs might be a little bit different, I don't know, but whatever you are using in wherever you are, that is what you should use. But this one, I've had it wired by a qualified electrician. So and that's exactly what you should do if you want to do this. Do not muck about with high voltage, because it is very deadly. So make sure you call somebody who knows what he's doing to help you out if you have to do any wiring. So don't forget, this is 750 watt AC motor. It has the speed of 3000 rpm, and I think it should be able to do the job of rotating the alternator. This is an alternator. This is another major component we'll be using in this generator. It is the item that will give you the electricity that you actually want. What an alternator does is produce electricity. It is important that you know certain things about an alternator before you choose one. First of all, you need to know the amount of electricity that you require. This particular one will produce 1700 watts of electricity or thereabout. Though the label reads 2.2 kVA, but in actual kilowatt power, it's not more than 1800 maximum. And one thing about this again is that it has an RPM of 3000, which means revolutions per minute, which it is the times that this alternator can rotate, can complete rotation. You remember that the motor I'm using also has 3000 RPM. So I would have loved to actually have a faster motor so that it will be able to rotate this alternator to the fullest capacity, so that I can get the maximum electricity that it can generate. But this will do for the moment. And another thing I want to show you is this bit, this protruding rod here is called a shaft. So the shaft is connected with the rotor inside. So when the motor is rolling this shaft, then the rotor will automatically be rolling and your electricity will be produced. That's how it works. I cannot go into details about the technicalities, but that's all you need to know. The motor will be connected through what we call a pulley. Pulley is what I'm going to show you in a minute. This is a pulley. So the pulley goes on the shaft and it stays there. So when you fix the pulley on the shaft, you make sure that it stays in place. You must fix it properly and you make sure that it's able to turn the shaft. That is how it is done. So I will show you how I put everything together as we are going along in this video making. And I will show you the back side of this alternator. This is the back side of this alternator. This is the back side of this alternator. Can you see that? Why I love this alternator is that it's come with everything that you need. It's done for you right from the factory. Here to have 2 outlet sockets here for those people that are living in countries where they use 110 to 115 volt. This is the yellow cover. That's where they will plug in their plug. And for us here in the UK, we use 230 volts. And this is a switch you will need to switch to whichever volts that you like. For 115 volts, you switch here, and for 230 volts, you switch to the other side. That's why I really like this alternator. In some alternators you don't have all this, but in this one it's been done right from the factory and I love it. Though this is a plank I'm using for this generator, it's going to be the base on which the alternator and the motor are going to be fixed. I'll show you how this is done as we are going along with this, but just to tell you, it's a plank. I've measured it out and I've perforated where the bolt and the nuts will go. Okay. So now all the bolts are in place, and I'll show you how they come out. You can see here that you can see, you know, these are the bolts. So on this, you know, the motor and the generator and the alternator will go. So I'll show you in a minute. The motor will be placed here like this. Hang on. So you can see the bit here. So you can see, so all those 4 holes underneath will have to go on the bolt. What I need to do is just put this one here. As you can see, I've got, you know, both motor and alternator properly mounted on the plank, which I'm using as a base. All I need to do is to try and tighten the bolt and the nut so that they can properly stay in place. It is very, very important because to make sure that everything is firmly fixed, because when it starts working, the vibration could actually, you know, put it out of its place, and that could cause major accident. So you don't want that. That's why you need to properly work on the bolt and the nut at this stage. All I need to do is get a wrench or a spanner to be able to tighten it. Yeah, now that the 2 components are properly mounted on the plank, all I need to do is just to put the pulley on the shaft of the alternator. This is the pulley, as I showed you earlier on. You know, it is a device that, you know, that makes it possible to couple, you know, the 2 components together, meaning the alternator and the motor. The bit you see here is what we call the groove. The groove. That's the bit. That's where the belt will eventually go. So that's a groove. Yeah. So some have double grooves depending on what use you want to put it into. But this one we only need 1 groove. So it will go on the alternator. Let's see, I'm trying to fix it. So you might need a bit of hammer to kick it in. Make sure. That's good. It looks firm enough. So it's important that you properly fix it in. You don't want your pulley to be pulling out while, you know, you switch it on. That could cause a major accident, and you don't want that at all. Okay, I think that will do. So once that's in place, the next step is to get the belt, you know, attached to both pulleys. So this is the belt we're going to be using. This is the belt. They call it V belt. you've got to figure out, the length of belt that you need, because they come in different sizes, and it depends on the distance of the two pulleys. You must make sure that you give a little bit of room for tension of the belt to be firmly in place. So what I'll do is put this one here, go on it. So you see that? Good. So it's now in place. So now the belt is connecting the motor to the alternator. That's all we need. So what we're gonna do in a minute is try and see whether what we've put together will actually work. Now that we've put everything together, we've properly mounted the alternator and the motor. All we need to do is to test it out. We've also fixed the belt on the pulleys. So all we need to do is just to put the plug into the socket and switch it on and see whether it will work. Yeah, look at the plug. The plug I showed you earlier on. This is a 3-pin plug, and the blue wire is short, and we have to connect it with a longer white wire. I just think I should let you know. So you might be, wondering, why is the plug's wire blue and yet white is showing? So we have to join it together here, so as to be able to, to reach the other socket that we're going to plug it in. Okay, the plug is in. Now we're about to test our generator. Remember that this motor will be powered by our household electricity. So the household electricity, we have already connected that to an outlet on the wall. So now I'm going to switch on, the motor that will in turn rotate or roll the alternator. And this is the wire. The wire has been connected to this extension, and the extension in turn goes into where I'm going to switch it on. Listen to the sound. Working. Can you hear the sound? You can see here that the belt is rolling the alternator, so it's working. So now let us test whether we could plug in an appliance so that we know for sure that it's working. So what I'm going to do is I will switch to the 230 volts. The 230 volts. You can see that it has brought in light. It has brought in light into this socket. So this plug leads to this socket. The household electricity is what is running this one. Can you see that? So it is working. The power, the electricity that goes into this box comes directly from the alternator. That's fantastic. It is a little bit noisy, but it is working. We are going to plug this one into this one. I'll plug it in. Let's test whether the drill will work. Can you see that? It's working. Look at that hole. It's working. It is working. It's working. That's lovely. This is another appliance that needs to be tested. This is a heater. You know, I told you that you know, I'm doing this so that I can keep my house warm. This appliance is just about 1,500 watts, and I will need about 3 of these in the 3 rooms at least. Let us see whether, you know, this generator will be able to carry it. Let's test it for a minute. I've put the heater on the small ladder here, so just for demonstration purpose. I will switch the generator on in a minute. So in readiness, I'm going to plug everything in before I switch on the generator. So the alternator is already plugged into this, and this is the socket we're going to use from the alternator, while the motor is been plugged into the household electricity. I'm going to plug in the heater into this circuit. So it's been plugged in. Now I'm going to switch on the motor. This is it. And you see that it's working. This is 1,500 watts heater, and you can see that it's working, it's glowing. Let me switch it off so that you can see the difference. This is the heater, so it carries it. That's handling. Yes, you could see that we have tested our generator and it's working. Remember, I plugged the motor into the household electricity, so that's the one that I would need to power this motor. Like I explained to you earlier on, if you are using a battery to power your motor, then you don't need an AC motor, you need a DC motor, and a DC motor can be powered by a battery. The only consumption that I will be paying for, let's take for instance I have 5,000 watts of generator. I will have access to 5,000 watts of electricity, whereas I will be paying for only 750 watts from my household electricity. That is saving about possibly more than 80%, which means that I will be using 5,000 watts of electricity, whereas I will be paying for 750 watts. 750 to 5,000, it's a very big gap. Thank you very much for watching this video, and you'll see me in my next video. Thank you very much.